Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the agent, the one which you are going to install in some time. Okay, so let's understand something about the agent also. And after that, I will install the agent. I'll show you that and followed by demo will happen also. Lab will also happen. So we are going to understand agent, doc stash D, and some of the matrices. So what is the agent? The one which you are trying to install now. So agent is basically Datadog agent is a lightweight software which has to be installed in your host. Repeat. So this has to be installed in a host, means Windows host, Linux host, or whatever it is. It report the metrics and events from your host to Datadog via three ways. Mind it, Datadog is agent installed and it report the metrics to the Datadog via integration or a dog stash D or the API. Okay, so three mode in which it send the data to the Datadog API, Datadog website. In fact, with additional setup, the agent can report live process, logs and traces also. So here, understand this. Agent can report the system metrics like CPU, RAM, storage and network. You can configure to send a live process metrics also. If you have a logs in the system, you can send that and traces also. Plus integrations also. Some information from doc-d, which is what is a doc-d we'll discuss. And then through API also, you can send the data, any custom data. So are you comfortable with this so far? So guys, agent, you have a few part. So we have a collector and we have a doc-d, which is optional, which is disabled by default. For the each agent, you have to enable it. And then forwarder. So collector collect the data from the various sources which you configure it. Various sources like system, Apache integration, Tomcat integration, Java integrations, or logs which you enable process and all stuff like that. So agent collect the data and send to the through HTTP they send to the forwarder. Okay, and forwarder send the data through HTTPS to Datadog SaaS backend. Are you comfortable with this flow, all of you?
One question, Rajesh.
Yeah.
In this setup, there will be no local organization private Datadog server. Logs will be sent to Datadog SaaS server via internet.
Yes.
Is it like,
Yes. HTTPS 443.
and it will always be there. There will be no local Datadog server for the
No,
organization.
no. There's
And
no
I
as
think this will be
such.
encrypted also.
Yeah, so everything will be stored at the Datadog cloud and will be sent through 443 that's encrypted anyways HTTPS.
Okay.
Okay. Now, sometime what you want, understand that we have a Datadog D also, to Datadog stash D also. So sometime you want to send the data to the Datadog custom metrics. Custom metrics means the metrics from the your code. I repeat, from your code of your application, I'm saying. So you want to, let's say, number of transactions you want to send and store at the Datadog for reporting purpose. Number of order has happened, number of transaction, number of people logged in, number of people log out. All this data you want to send to from your code level itself, you want to send to Datadog. So for that, what you need to do, you need to have a docs-d. So docs-d collect the data at the UDP port 8125, which you can see in the image. And docs-d send that through HTTP to the forwarder and forwarder sent to the backend, which is Datadog. So here docs-d is being used for sending a custom data from your code to the Datadog. Okay, so that is something which you have to understand. Now, which are the agent I'm talking about? And I think we have discussed already. Any agent, 40 plus agents supported, platform supported by Datadog agent. So now let's talk about some of the different things here. So now so far you understood, right? All of you. You have to install the agent as per the platform. Agent will collect the data, will forward the data to the Datadog website, and from there you can explore, create a dashboard or whatever it is. Are you comfortable with this?
Yes,
I'm
but
okay.
just a question like how it basically detect, like suppose I want to integrate it by AWS. So is there any kind of API key we need to set up, or?
Yes, yes, of course. API key will have to do that. Yeah,
Okay.
you have to do that. So how to do that? That part I'll discuss anyways. But collection, there are the different methods. If you talk about AWS, then I'll say, hey, we are not going to talk to each services, just going to talk to CloudWatch API, and collect the data and forward the data to the Datadog. Make sense?
Okay, thank you.
So like that. Now the question is, what is stash D? So guys, if you correlate the discussion, I don't know, there's some pop-up which is coming on my screen, and should go automatically. Okay. So what is a stash D? So guys, I hope you in the last image which I have shown you was dog stash D. So if you want to understand the dog stash D, then you have to understand the stash D. Okay. So I repeat, I told you dog stash D is optional component of the agent. You can activate it if you want it. But why? When you want the custom data from your applications to send to Datadog, then you have to use it. Custom data means from your application, from your code level. Then you can use the dog stash D. Then the question is, what is a stash D? So stash D actually is basically one of the open source product, one of the open source code you can say. What is for? So basically it's for collecting the the data from the your code level, custom application level. So stash D is originally a simple daemon developed by and released by etc to aggregate and summarize application matters. Remember application matters. That means someone has to code for it. Okay, I don't know how many of you are comfortable with the coding experience, but if not, then you at least you can guide them saying that, hey, you guys want some custom code, custom matrix at a Datadog for maybe some management reporting or something like that. Then what you need to do, you need to code for in the code for using the stash D or dog stash D. That is what I'm talking about. So what you can do use with the stash D, with stash D application are to be instrumented by developers using language specific client library. Means stash D has released multiple language specific client libraries. That means Java code, PHP code, Ruby code, .NET code, like that client libraries. So what developers will do, they will download the client libraries, run it in their own environment, extend the functionality using the client library. That's called instrumentation process, and then stash D will collect the data from the application, and that is the capturing can happen. So with the stash D application are to be instrumented by developer using language specific client library. This library will then communicate with the stash D daemon using its dead simple protocol, and daemon will generate aggregate metrics, relay them to virtually any graphing or monitoring backend. Let's understand through picture. So whatever the things I'll discuss a little bit later. Look at this here. So there is one application running in this in this image. We have four application running. So four applications. You will install the client library, and then whatever the data you want to send, you will configure it. You will write a code for it, and those client libraries send the data to the stash D, which is a daemon, and stash D aggregate those data and send to the backend storage, which can be Datadog or database, any database. It can be anything. Let's look at this for a few more example. Look at this here. There is a Node application. There's a Golang applications. There's a Python applications. And everywhere there's a client library installed at the code level. And this client library is sending the data to StashD server for aggregation. And look at this. StashD server sending the data to the monitoring backend for storage, permanent storage. So StashD always periodically flush of aggregated values to the backend. Are you understanding all of you? StashD?
Yes, yes. So, basically, what does that mean? Like flushing the aggregated values?
Flushing means StashD has no storage, no
Okay.
permanent storage. So all the apps are sending the data to StashD, it's a daemon, and
Mm-hmm.
the daemon has to flush all the data to the storage, permanent storage. That process is called flushing, periodically flushing of aggregated values.
So what is that backend storage basically?
Backend storage. And the backend storage, you can get the right idea in this picture. Tell me if you have understood. So look at this here. There's the two server. Okay. Terracotta server A, Terracotta server B. There is application running Megatron. And from the using UDP, anyone remember the port number by the way? UDP port number in the last image I showed you. Let me recall that one more time.
8125.
Wonderful. Yes, yes. Wonderful.
8125.
Yes. So all this Megatron is an instrumented application. Client library is installed, and some custom coding has been done. So after that, through UDP, they send to the stash D. Forget about the Carbon. Carbon is an alternative for the stash D. So stash D. And what stash D is storing where? Look at this. Do you have your backend? Got it?
So what are these Liberator, New Relic, Datadog? All these are storage backends.
Yes, it can be a Postgre also. It can be Postgre also.
It
Backend.
can be any of these.
Any in storage can be. So Datadog is our storage place. New Relic is also SaaS-based software. Levato also, Graphite also. Okay, so any storage you can store it. So remember that Stash D is a open source solution. In fact, Datadog agent is also open source solution. So then you will say, Rajesh, why you are discussing Stash D? How it is related to Datadog? So that answer you will find in this slides. You know what? Stash D, because it's open source, Datadog have used Stash D and embedded in the Datadog agent actually. So if you want application instrumented data, custom data from your code level, then you can use this Datadog agent, and Datadog agent have embedded stash D code itself. Okay, so here you see that second paragraph, Datadog. Sorry, let's understand the first paragraph. Datadog is a big fan of stash D. Use it extensively and internally. Customer to submit metrics from stash D into Datadog for graphing, alerting, event correlation, and team collaboration. That is possible. Anyways, I show you. This is the stash D. But Datadog embedded our own stash D daemon within the agent itself. You have to just enable it. That means you don't need a stash D anymore. If you want application data, then you don't need a stash D. So what do you need? You need agent only. Why? Because agent has that capability already inbuilt. So what has happened? Datadog extended the stash D protocol for support tagging. So you know what? Stash D was very wonderful to grab the custom coding, custom metrics to the backend. But it was lacking in terms of ability to tag to the various level. Tagging, I'll show you that importance of tagging in upcoming sessions also. So it was lacking. So what Datadog did, Datadog not only embedded the stash D in a Datadog, but also added some more extra code to the stash D. For what? Supporting tagging. And that was one of the killer feature of Datadog. So now what they did, Datadog renamed that stash D to dog stash D. So now that's the reason I was showing you, right? Here when you say Datadog has a one component which is called dog stash D. Dog stash D is nothing but a stash D. But stash D, they added some more code to support the tagging functionality, and they started calling the dog stash D. That means Datadog agent has a full-fledged capability to capture the all kind of data. When I say all, that means collector can collect the system data like Windows and Linux. It can connect the integration data like Apache, Tomcat, MySQL and all stuff like that. It can collect the logs also. It can collect the process also. It and the dog stash D can collect the custom data also. That means custom data also. And everything you can forward to forwarder, and forwarder will store in a Datadog SaaS. Are you able to understand that what I'm talking about, all of you?
Yeah, so basically you are saying that Datadog has developed their own stash D, or they are just
Extended,
enhancing the existing stash D.
hi, existing,
Okay,
enhancing, extended.
okay, okay.
Okay, so Datadog made it very easy to discover stash D metrics in a Datadog UI. Every host will automatically advertise its metrics, so you don't have to look for them. So now you see that here from the any applications through UDP, you send to the docs-d now, and which is a part of the agent, and docs-d will send to Datadog. So while -d accept only metrics, docs-d accept all three of the major data types, data types, metrics, event, and service check. They have added a capability. So docs-d is a Golang implementation of etc-d metrics aggregation daemon. It is used to receive and roll up arbitrary metrics over a UDP and or Unix socket, and thus allowing custom code to be instrumented without adding latency. Okay, so how does docs-d work? I'll just leave it for you. Now look at this here. So there is one host. You have a three application running in the three different technology. They will send the data to the docs-d daemon, which is a part of the agent, and docs-d will send forward the data to the Datadog SaaS. Okay, so here Datadog docs-d implement the -d protocol and add a few Datadog specific extension, which is like historical, metric type, histogram metric type, service check, events, and tagging. Tagging is one of the killing functionality. So the question is, I told you Datadog agent, docs-d by default when you install the agent, it will be disable. Okay. So if you want to enable it, you have to go to the Datadog Yaml file. I'll teach you that one. I'll show you also. And you have to say, hey, use that. And port number is default. You don't have to change it. If you want to change it, you can do that. But that's a default. And so on. So now we understand that docs-d. Are you clear, all of you? Docs-d?
Is it disabled by default or enabled?
It's a disable because remember that docs-d can be useful only when you write a code, and in the code you are saying, hey, send this data to the docs-d daemon. So when you want to send that code to the daemon on the port number 8125, then only you need that, right? And unnecessarily why you are running it if you have not a code for sending the data to the daemon. Correct now?
Okay, okay. So here, okay, this particular port number is by default enabled.
No, this you have to make it enable both options. By default, it's a disable by default.
Okay,
And the file which is a Datadog YAML, which I'll show you in some time.
okay, okay.
Okay, so second important component of the agent is collector. So the collector gather all standard metrics every 15 seconds. You can influence this. So every 15 seconds, and this is from your system and different integrations available, custom checks and all. Forwarder, the last point of the Datadog agent. The agent forwarder send metrics over HTTPS to Datadog, and buffering prevents network splits from affecting the metric reporting. Metrics are buffered in memory, remember, until a limit in size or number of outstanding sends request reached. Afterwards, the oldest metrics are discarded to keep the forwarder's memory footprint manageable. Logs are sent over an SSL encrypted TCP connection to Datadog. So mind it. Here two things you have to remember. Forwarder send the data of the metric using HTTP protocol, and forwarder send the data of logs using which protocol? TCP protocol. Will you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that is the things. This is the agent 5. I'll ignore it. It's it's gone out of the scene and so on. Now guys, you have agent UI also. So when you install the agent in Linux or Windows, so you will have a agent UI also. So that agent UI is running on the port number 5002. Okay, 5002. And for Linux, it is disabled by default. So if you want to in Linux, you have to enable it. But in Windows, it's enabled by default. So the moment you install the agent and start it, this UI you can access it. Okay, so 5002 port number. So if you want to disable the GUI agent GUI in the YAML file, Datadog YAML file, I'll show you. The port value has to be set -1, so it will be disabled. Okay, so UI of the agent is also you have available and stuff like that. Now, which are the, so when you install the agent in Windows, which are the service you may see in the services? So when you go to the services, then these are the services you'll see for the each agent. You have a Datadog agent, then we have a trace agent, then we have a process agent. So these are the 3 agent you will see that. Which are the port you should keep into the consideration? So these are the ports you have to keep into the consideration while working with it. One is 5000 port. So this exposes the runtime metrics about the, okay. So on the, if you install the agent and then at the 5000 port, you can get all the matrices which is being exposed. 5001, just now I talked about it. This is used by agent CLI and GUI to send commands and pull information from running agent. And 5002 port is for the UI of agent in Windows and Linux. And 8125, just now we discussed, it's a dog-d server port on which to receive the external service matrices and things like that. So these are the ports you have to remember. There's so many command line you will interact with it. I'll show you that one and get started. So these are the commands.
Hello, Rajesh.
Yeah.
I need to leave at 12:30 to have attend a meeting at
Yes.
12:30 p.m.
Yes, sir. I think we'll have a lunch time at that time only.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So these are the commands you have to work with it after installing the agent, like check command, config check command, diagnose command, flare command, health command, help, host name, import. So if you want to do some check whether that is enabled for my agent or not, so check command. If you want to check the configurations of the agent, which is Datadog, the YAML and all other configurations also, config check. If you want to diagnose the agent, diagnose. If you want to send some flare to Datadog, then Datadog flare command. Health, you want to check the health, help, host name and import. If you want to import that, some different configurations. Install service, launch UI, reg import, restart service, start, stop, status, and all stuff like that. So many commands you have it, we'll practice it. Some of the commands is easy to understand easily. Some of the commands require little practice. So now the question is, which is the configuration file for agent? So guys, let me tell you here, there are certain things which has been hard coded in the Datadog agent itself. That means that executable, something is hard coded. But if you want to enable some other features or if you want to change some of the behavior of the agent, then you have to touch this file. You have to modify this file, datadog.yaml file. It's a pretty huge file, by the way. Okay, so many things you have. So you have to get comfortable with it. You know, I would say while working with a Datadog, 20% of your bandwidth will be spent for managing this file itself, because you will not manage this file in one machine but hundreds and thousands of machines you may have. It depends on your visibility. So I would like to show you this file. Now this file, you think it's a long, but it's a pretty well defined. So let's say this is the API key and you have a complete detail about the API key here. Okay, look at this API key here. Now we'll say that what is this? So here, this is the variable which you are matching. So this is for the datadog.yaml file. Okay, so if you want to use it, you can use it. Now this is in caps. Okay, so if you want to set the environment, okay, you can use this one. You can set the, if you want to pass the parameter to the executable Datadog, you can pass this one also. Okay, and why this is useful? Here you have a documentations. So something similar pattern which you can see for every options available in the datadog.yaml. So anything which you want to do that, you can do that. So this is the site, this is a region which I said. So this region you will have it if you have installed that, if you have get a trial account at the US one. For me, it will be 5 actually, US 5. See here, read this. For me, it will be US 5 dot 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 dot, but for you, because US one, not this one, and default this one. This is the UE site, European Union. Okay, so like that, if you scroll down, you have a certain pattern. So this value you can set in the parameter, file, and environment variable and all this stuff. And for each and everything, you have an explanation given. So your spending time with this file is very important. Lots of entries are there. Many things I'll discuss about it. I'll show you during the work, during the demo, and you'll get started with it. So now this is the YAML file. Now guys, the location of the YAML file is important. So I'll put it in a very simple way. In the Linux, you will have under the etc Datadog agent. In Windows, you will have under the C drive and programs data and Datadog. And then Mac, you have to check the locations, which is here. This is not AIX, that is Mac also, I think it is easy. Here it is. Sorry, my bad. Request. What is it? Correction. Mac OS, you'll have a user home dot Datadog agent and conf.d. Understood, all of you?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So Linux etc, Mac user home, Windows C program data. This is the configuration directory. So this is the YAML file for configuration file, and this is the configuration directory. So anything you want to enable integration, this is the directory. You have to remember that it's there in the same locations where the configuration files will be there. Okay. Now, how to enable Datadog agent check? So guys, it's very simple context. If you want to anything you want to enable, you have to go to the conf.d, and in that you have to write a file which is ending with a .yaml. The file name can be anything, but it should be YAML file. And if the YAML file is exist, Datadog will read all the YAML file. Okay. So it's like this. So here, if you want to learn how to enable the integration of, let's say, Apache, then you see that http underscore check dot d. So any directory under the conf.d, it should be ending with the .d and then YAML file. So very simple pattern. We'll get into that demo and I'll show you that. Troubleshooting, of course, you have it, all this thing. And while working with you, I'll show you that many troubleshooting. How to start, stop, and all in a different platform. I think you'll not stuck. So systemctl for Linux, services for Windows, Docker. There's a different instructions for this, and so on. And stop the command, something similar. Check the status of this, something similar you have. And see the status of the agent status. This command is useful. Datadog -agent status, space status, and so yeah. So this is the Datadog agent. Now this slides is important. Sometimes people say, Rajesh, uh, uh, because agent need to forward the data to the Datadog, but sometimes the outbound traffic itself is blocked for my environment, not inbound, outbound also. Are you understanding outbound traffic, right? That means your machine cannot reach out to the API of Datadog, correct now?
Yeah.
So what to do in that case? Then there's a few solutions are available. Okay? Few solutions are available, and which here I'm talking about. So you can use a web proxy, okay, such as Squid or Microsoft Web Proxy. So from you send that data to the proxy and through the proxy to Datadog. Okay, that is already deployed in your network. Or you can use a HA proxy also if you want to use that. If you want to proxy more than 16 to 20 agent through the same proxy, use HA proxy. Old agent like agent 5, that we had that option which is not there in the 7. Or I don't know how many of you know that Prometheus, but you can use a push gateway also. Push gateway is for the same purpose. Push gateway is designed for having the closed data centers where outgoing traffic is not allowed, and you can use that one also. So these are the solutions are available for the place where you have a restricted outbound traffic. Are you understanding, all of you?
Yeah.
So now what to do? So nothing, install the agent, install the integrations, create a dashboard, monitor means alerting, invite your team, and so on. So these are the things which you have to do that. Okay, so this is the agent. And so at a high level, let me sum up this stuff once again. Let me show you this image one more time. So agent, you have a primarily 3 component: collector, which collect the system data and different integration metrics. It can collect the logs also. Okay. And then we have a docs-d for sending the custom metrics to the Datadog. And then collector and docs-d talk to HTTP through HTTP to forwarder, port number 17123. Forwarder send that data to the Datadog backend through HTTP. If it is a log, then TCP is being used. If you want to customize the configuration of agent, then the file name is datadog.yaml. Which location? So etc datadog agent, datadog hyphen agent in the Linux, and Windows you have programs data under the C drive, and processes. Some of the commands have made you aware of it. You will practice throughout these 5 days of session and so on. And then now what we'll do? So once we install and configure the Datadog agent properly, then we'll get the data on the Datadog and we'll explore. We'll create alerts and we'll explore the data. We'll create alerts and then dashboard. These are the 3 works which you have. So these are the things we will do that in the next session.